Yes, the ever-present technical difficulties that plague most of the beginnings of our streams. I think I have figured out the perpetrator. Give me just a moment. Oh man, this is eating up so much RAM in my computer right now. My CPU is pinned. OBS is all of a sudden eating up all of my CPU. What is going on? Mute now. Check, check. How about now? All right, hold that thought. I'm just going to have to return in a moment. We are trying this again. Excellent connection. Checky, checky. I don't know what the hell that was, but it seems to be worked out at this point. We're gonna double check. So sorry. Well, it's still pinned at 100%, and it's still OBS's fault. Dropping a little bit, I guess. What the hell happened to OBS? All right, so let's all close this dock. Okay. Keep that up, keep that up. I can probably close that and make sure that's okay. Still pinned. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. OBS is doing something weird. No data coming through now, it says. Stream's current bit rate is too high. What? Oh my Jesus. We might just have to go with a buggy stream because I have done everything I can on my end and apparently we're still bugging out. What does this one look like? Connected. Seems to be going fine. Turn off the movie? No, I don't think it's that. It's my CPU. It's not the connection. You can hear me now. Okay. Okay, so one of my docks is apparently eating up entirely too much CPU, and I will have to figure out which one it is. Hopefully it's not one of the ones that I actively use, which I guess I only use the draw dock for when we're doing reaction videos, so I don't need that during streams. Anyway, welcome once again to another live stream. Oh, good Lord, that was much more painful than it needed to be. My apologies. Something weird happened in OBS, so there's that. But we have legitimately we're gonna go through the whole opening spiel again, just because opening or streaming difficulties. But we have an interesting stream today in that the whole Netflix being the winning bid has kind of blown up. It is not the end of the situation, even if what is being reported in the news were 100% factual. It would still not be the end of the situation, but there's a little bit going on that the big news outlets aren't necessarily reporting on because you have to get into the little granular details, and we're going to do a little bit of that because it's relevant. And we've been talking about it for over a month now, so you know that's kind of the way it goes. Also, this week we have a couple of quicker things, and then there's an interesting trend in re-releasing very popular movies into theaters right now, and there's a couple of huge announcements as far as that goes that we're going to be talking about. And then we do have some music stuff to talk about, some interesting tours and things. So we'll leave that for the end of the news portion of tonight's video. But before we get into too much of that stuff, thank you once again for joining right here on Generally Nerdy. Let's do, where is that? Right here. Let's do the things with the stuff and the sponsors and whatnot. So starting with DUBBY, I need to re-up my DUBBY stuff. Speaking of, but because I'm almost out of my s'mores, which if you haven't tried s'mores energy drink DUBBY, you owe it to yourself. If for no other reason, you don't even necessarily have to use my discount code, though I would love it if you did. Discount Generally Nerdy. If you use that at checkout, you get 10% off. I get a little bit of a kickback. DUBBY gets to sell some really awesome stuff, and you get some really awesome stuff from DUBBY. So it's a win-win-win, as it were. But even if you don't do that, I still think you should try the s'mores. It's scary good. But yeah, I need to re-up my s'mores. My new favorite, aside from the s'mores, because I don't know that I'll ever like an energy drink nearly as much as that. But my new favorite right now, because it was the Calio cream for basically ever, because I love me some orange cream. But I'm really big on the, and now we're going to run into weird lag issues. What the hell? Really big on the Tiger's Blood, if I can find that. There it is. this stuff is also next level because it's got the powdered coconut milk in with it. So if you mix it with some actual coconut milk, just takes it to another level. The s'mores also mixed in with coconut milk kind of gives it like a little bit more of a marshmallow flavor. It's weird, but it's awesome. So definitely try that when you get your s'mores, because you should definitely get your s'mores. But yeah, so Dubby killing it. Legitimately enjoy their drinks, all of their stuff. That's why I use them as a channel sponsor, because I would not push something I did not actively partake in. So speaking of things that I actively partake in, my shirt should be here soon. My shirt being the Music Nerd, the Phantom Nerd shirt. I love this thing. It's freaking great. Let's zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Ah, that might be too much. There we go. There we go. That's better. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. This is the newest design over at the Nerd Store. I'm a big fan of it, so much so that I'm getting one for myself. I'm actually still have a couple of designs that were in the old store that I need to re-up into the new store, so that will happen, hopefully, at some point during the off-season. But that kind of brings us to a real quick piece about the off-season. Go check out the Creator Spring store, linked down in the description. And that is the way to get your Phantom Nerd, and you can get all your basic nerd stuff, or my other favorite. Oh, come on, baby. Let's do this. Why are you not cooperating? Freaking mouse. So basic nerd stuff right here, and then the Confused Millennial design is another one of my favorites. I just freaking think it's hilarious. Anyway. Speaking of the behind the scenes and off season stuff, we are doing an extended off season this year because, yeah, it's going to be a crazy year as far as my personal life is concerned, and relocating things and just, yeah, going a little nuts there. So we'll probably be doing live shows for a little while. Next week will very potentially be the last one for the year. And then we'll have the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's where we won't do any live streams, and then we will be back probably the first week, maybe the second week of January with off-season stuff, so more live broadcasts. But all of that being said, let's get to the actual news, which is why you all came here to begin with. Just running through chat and such, because everything is a pain in my ass tonight, and it shouldn't be. There's no logical reason for that. All right, so let's talk about this whole Warner Brothers Discovery Netflix situation, because, like I said, this is not the end. When last we spoke, there was the threat of investigation from the Department of Justice if Netflix were the one to win out. So, being as Netflix is the one that put up the highest bid, that means there's now going to be... I don't think they've officially announced that it's actually happened. It very well could have been a threat, but very possibly there's going to be an in-depth investigation into the business dealings of Netflix. Meaning there's going to be a very long time between now, when they put up the winning bid, theoretically, versus... when they actually can merge the two companies of Warner Bros. Discovery and Netflix. Even then, if we get that far, it will not be the entirety of Warner Bros. Discovery and Netflix. It will be Netflix purchasing the movie production side of Warner Brothers, as well as the streaming side of Warner Brothers, and then some of the other... I think the gaming portion is attached to that as well, so that Mortal Kombat, the Harry Potter games, etc., etc. There's a lot that's there, but there's also it's not the Discovery side of things. It's not the TV stuff necessarily. So it's a little messy. But that being said, now that we kind of have the TLDR of the workings as it were if nothing else were an issue. Let's get into the issues because there are a few of them. First, to start this off, we have when the official announcement happened. This was what most of the articles were saying. This is going to be a little bit more on one side than the other. If this is your first stream with Generally Nerdy, but let's get into this article. So, major shift in Hollywood is underway as Netflix has reportedly won the bidding war for Warner Bros. Discovery and entered exclusive talks to finalize a deal. See, it's not 100% done. It's not a guaranteed thing yet, even though that's the way it's being reported by most media outlets. The trades report Netflix hit the price Warner Bros. Discovery wanted, beating out Paramount and Comcast after a volatile day of counteroffers and back-channel maneuvering. It should be said the deal is far from complete, and as Netflix and Warner Bros. Discovery still have to finish talks. It's also been reported that Netflix will face years of regulatory scrutiny. Hey, there's an official announcement. We'll get to that in just a moment, I think. So Netflix hit the target price. So I want to hit this section, and then we'll go to the official announcement. So Deadline reports that Netflix offered $28 a share for Warner Bros. Discovery Studios and HBO Max assets. Like I said, this is not the entirety of Warner Bros. Discovery. The wrap adds Netflix hit the, quote, magic number at $30 a share that sealed the exclusive window. Both outlets confirm Netflix included a massive $5 billion breakup fee, matching the protection Paramount added on its own bid. Warner Brothers put itself up for sale in October. We've been covering this since then, since before then even. Because again, real quick TLDR, when Warner Brothers merged with Discovery and that whole thing took place, the understanding was that they were going to do it with the presumption that down the road the company was then going to be sold again. So this was anticipated. So let's go to the official announcement from Netflix and Warner Brothers. Oh, this might actually be on my list of things. Nope, I didn't get this one, but that's okay. So this comes from the 5th, so just a few days ago. Following the earlier report that Netflix won the bidding war for Warner Brothers, now the company officially announced a definitive agreement to acquire Warner Brothers for a total enterprise value of $82.7 billion with a B dollars, a $72 billion equity value. Pending the planned separation of Warner Bros. Discovery's Global Networks arm and Discovery Global. So those are the two arms of the company that are not included in the deal. Per the official announcement, the deal is expected to close December 18th. I'm sorry. I read that as a date. That is 12 to 18 months after the separation completes in Q3 of next year. So we have approximately a year from next fall before this is even anywhere near completion. So again, a lot can happen in a year and a half, a year and 3 quarters even. Netflix will take ownership of Warner Bros. Films, TV studios, HBO Max, and DC while keeping current operations intact. What Netflix is buying. Netflix now gains one of Hollywood's deepest libraries, Warner Bros. Franchises, including Harry Potter, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Big Bang Theory, Wizard of Oz, the entire DC universe, and Mortal Kombat. We always have to throw that in there because, of course, we do. Will sit next to Netflix originals like Stranger Things, Bridgerton, and Wednesday. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters said the deal positions Netflix to push even harder into global entertainment, expand production, and reach more viewers with both new and legacy IP. Our mission has always been to entertain the world, said Sarandos, co-CEO of Netflix. By combining Warner Bros.' incredible library of shows and movies from timeless classics like Casablanca, Citizen Kane, to modern favorites like Harry Potter and Friends, with our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game, maybe don't list that last one anymore, because that one fell off hard. We'll be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling. Now, this kind of alludes back to what we were talking about last week, in that this almost feels like Netflix wants to become a platform in the same way that Roblox and Fortnite are a platform for other games. There is still the core content of Netflix. But now that if this goes through, again, I'm not saying this is done by any stretch of the imagination, but if nothing happens between now and then, and this goes through as they want it to, this feels like, and there's been announcements, I don't remember if I have any of them tagged in our stories for the day, but there have been announcements that Netflix is saying that they'll basically keep Warner Brothers functioning as is. That'll just be a merger of the streaming sources. Effectively, you'll be able to access their content through Netflix and such, which again kind of sounds like platforming. They're trying to build a platform more than they're trying to build a streaming service, which could be kind of cool. It's going to be soulless and a pain in the ass, but in theory it's kind of cool. Continuing, the acquisition will improve our offering and accelerate our business for decades to come, continued Peters, co-CEO of Netflix. Warner Brothers has helped define entertainment for more than a century and continues to do so with phenomenal creative executives and production capabilities. With our global reach and proven business model, we can introduce a broader audience to the worlds they create, giving our members more options, attracting more fans to our best-in-class streaming service, strengthening the entire entertainment industry, and creating more value for shareholders. What this isn't going to do is bring streaming prices down because basically this is going to be incentive for Netflix to increase prices per month for accessing their future platform, as it were. David Zaslav framed the acquisition in the next step in Warner Brothers' century-long running shaping of culture. Quote, today's announcement combines two of the greatest storytelling companies in the world to bring even more people to the entertainment they love to watch the most. That is a mouthful. David Zaslav, president of CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. For more than a century, Warner Brothers has thrilled audiences, captured the world's attention, and shaped our culture. By coming together with Netflix, we will ensure people everywhere will continue to enjoy the world's most resonant stories for generations to come. I mean, more content, more production, more expansion. This is probably going to touch on what I literally just said. Netflix says the acquisition drives 4 goals. Add more viewing options, expand opportunities for creators, build a stronger studio system, and increase shareholder returns. That last one is the one I think is where they're going to stick us with but we have so much more content now. You should pay us $5 more a month for the ad-supported tier. Netflix plans to maintain theatrical releases for Warner Bros. Films while using the new library to strengthen streaming plans. The company expects $2 to $3 billion in annual cost savings by year 3 and says the deal will be accretive to that I don't know that word. Huh? ACCRETIVE. Accretive? I've honestly never heard that word. I thought I had a fairly large vocabulary, but that is a new word to me. To earnings by year 2. So equal to earnings? Accruative? Is that did they misspell accruative? That seems more likely than a new word that I've never heard before. Combined output also increases U.S. production capacity, which Netflix argues benefits the broader entertainment ecosystem. $2 to $3 billion by the end of year 2. Really? So it is a word. Okay, fair. Thank you, Matt at Cosmic Book, for teaching me a new word. Accretive is a thing. Fair enough. Warner Bros. Shareholders will receive $23.25 in cash and $4.50 in Netflix stock per share. The stock portion is controlled by a collar tied to Netflix's 15-day VWAP prior to closing. The transaction requires blah, blah, blah approval. Netflix to acquire Warner Brothers following the separation. Oh, this is the official announcement that was mailed out, is what this is. Okay, fair enough. All right, so that is the first part of it. We have the announcement that the thing happened, right? So that's just kind of bringing everybody up to the same pace. So now let's get into some of the more sticky bits. Going to, I think it was this one was the next one. So Paramount launches hostile takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, backed by the Saudis and Kushner. So, exactly as insiders said when they told us that the Snyderverse is back in play and that James Gunn will be out when Warner Brothers is sold, it's now learned that Paramount has the backing of both the Saudis and Jared Kushner in their hostile takeover attempt for Warner Brothers. This came out yesterday. After the initial report about Gunn, he went on a YouTube tour and questioned if he would be staying at Warner Brothers once it's sold. Following Netflix winning bid, Gunn and Peter Safran then did that article with Bloomberg, which confirms they only got 6-month extension on their jobs aren't guaranteed. Yesterday, so the 7th, Zack Snyder teased more stories with Superman, Henry Cavill. The latest is that following Netflix's winning bid, Paramount has announced a hostile takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. Paramount officially announced the takeover. Trump has responded, and Netflix has also responded, and then so has Warner Brothers. So details are as follows. This actually might negate one of the other articles that we had on this. Yeah, because that's the scoop, and then we have something from Trump aside from this. So we'll skip one of the pieces that we had because I didn't read deep enough into this one. This covers one of the other things we were already going to talk about. Anyway, continuing, Paramount has gone fully hostile against Warner Bros. Discovery following Netflix's winning the Warner Brothers Discovery bid. It's escalating Hollywood's largest corporate battle in decades. Recall we've been told the storm is coming. Paramount on Monday dropped an all-cash tender offer to acquire all outstanding Warner Brothers shares for $30 each. Remember, we just talked about everyone who has shares is getting, 25 and change, 28 and change, whatever. Either way, $30 is more. Valuing the company at $108.4 billion. The purpose of the move is blunt. Yank Warner Brothers out of Netflix's hands before the streamer finalizes its agreement. Paramount called its proposal $18 billion more in cash than Netflix's structure, and attacked Warner Brothers' current board for backing what it calls an illusory or inferior deal. Paramount goes hostile. Paramount said Warner Brothers' board made its choice based on a fictional valuation of global networks and is now pushing past them to reach shareholders directly, which I'm pretty sure is still legal, so whatever. CEO David Ellison blasted Netflix's offer as inferior and uncertain, calling his own deal a superior all-cash path that avoids a regulatory gauntlet across multiple countries. Ellison said the company is done waiting. We're taking our offer directly to the shareholders to give them the opportunity to act in their own best interest. So if you watched... what was the show? Not Inheritance. Succession, thank you. If you watched Succession, then you'll have a better idea of how this works. Basically, they're trying to purchase... they're doing what... No. Not the show necessarily. In real life, the why am I brain farting everybody's names? I can see his face. The cat who was running for president, who did the Charlie Kirk event. He's Indian. No, not Dinesh. Dinesh can't run for president. He's a felon. I keep wanting to say Zoran Mondani, but that's the opposite side of things. Anyway. He did this with Vox. He bought a large portion of Vox, and because a large portion of their shares, because he wanted to be able to speak at the board. Because if you own a certain number of shares, Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you. So Vivek purchased a large portion of shares in order to become a major shareholder, so that he would have a place on the board, because that's the way it works when you're a publicly traded company. So, effectively, what the Saudis are doing right now is they're trying to do that same thing. If they can get enough people to sell them their shares, then they become the power, the governing body on the board, because they have the most shares in the company. It basically becomes their company at that point. That is a hostile, and that's total rudimentary breakdown of how that works. If you really want details on that, you can look it up. But like that's kind of the long and the short of it. Anyway, excuse me. Paramount also argues regulators. Oh wait, that's not where we left off, is it? Ellison, that's where we left off, and companies is done waiting. We're taking our offer directly to shareholders. The bid is backed by Larry Ellison, Redbird Capital, and $54 billion in debt commitments from Bank of America, Citi, and Apollo. So it's more than just the Saudis are getting in on this. Paramount also argues regulators will slam the brakes on Netflix combining with Warner Brothers because it would create a 43% global subscription video on-demand monopoly, especially in regions where Netflix and Warner Brothers already rank number 1 and number 2, because Disney isn't everywhere, as it were. Company adds Netflix has never undertaken large-scale acquisitions, calling it another major execution risk. The Saudis, Qatar, and Kushner also revealed as backers. The next bombshell, Paramount confirmed exactly what the insiders have said. The Middle East sovereign funds and Jared Kushner's affinity partners are underwriting the hostile bid. Funding sources are the PIF, who we've talked about a number of times. They're the ones that purchased Evo. They're the ones that purchased a portion of Sony. They're the ones who are really gunning hard for Western cultural influence. Public investment funds, Abu Dhabi's Lamad Holding Company, PJSC, Qatar's Investment Authority, QIA, and Affinity Partners, who is run by Jared Kushner. As previously reported, Hollywood has been shifting towards massive partnerships with the Saudis, including deals involving Trump's orbit. The kingdom wants major entertainment assets, major franchises, and theme park IP, which they would have if they purchase Warner Brothers. Paramount's disclosure lines up with everything insiders have been telling us for months. This is the quote from the other article that we were going to read, so we'll just keep going. Interestingly, now Trump publicly pumped the brakes and backed off from being connected to both Paramount and Netflix. After reports that Netflix's Ted Sarandos courted Trump and that Paramount also sought his support, Trump told reporters, quote, "I know the companies very well. I know what they're doing, but I have to see what percentage of the market they have. We have to see the Netflix percentage of market, Paramount percentage of market. I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine. I want to do what's right," end quote. Trump said that he would wait to review the market share impact before weighing in, indicating he's not backing either side, at least not publicly yet. This is a shift. The earlier reports suggested Trump was warming to a Netflix bid, which that has to have come out since we last spoke, because the last time we spoke on stream last week was Trump was backing Paramount because of his connections to the company. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos fired back at the hostile bid, brushing it off. "Today's move was entirely expected. We have a deal done, and we are incredibly happy with the deal." It's not done, though. Like, by their own numbers, it's not done. So that's an overly confident statement. I was going to say weird, but that's not that weird. It's just overly confident. Sarandos and Netflix remains, quote, super confident, unquote, so almost my word. The acquisition will close and call it good for shareholders, creatives, and jobs. Netflix is acting like nothing has changed, even though everything just did. Warner Brothers confirms receipt, says stays with Netflix for now. Warner Brothers Discovery acknowledged the hostile bid and said the board will review it under the terms of its agreement with Netflix, which doesn't necessarily mean that very explicitly says they're still considering it, though. So that doesn't mean that it's off the table. The board will issue a recommendation within 10 business days. So again, this came out on the 8th, I believe. Yes, on the 8th. Until then, Warner Brothers told shareholders, do not take any action. Oh. Warner Brothers is legally and publicly still standing behind the Netflix acquisition, at least for now, while they evaluate Paramount's new hostile bid. What that means, Hollywood now faces the most aggressive corporate clash in history. Netflix believes it's already won. Paramount is trying to rip the studio out of its hands. The Saudis, Qatar, and Kushner are officially major players. Trump is publicly neutral. Privately, though, anything can change, it says. Whenever the board is frozen between contracts, regulators, shareholders, and two competing billion-dollar empires. No longer a simple acquisition. This is a three-way war for Hollywood's future. What an interesting... Let's leave it here for a second. What an interesting potential outcome here. So if Netflix wins, I really, really believe that this is the next step, because the writing's on the wall when it comes to streaming. Streaming is not profitable. There's a reason why every streaming service that offers an ad-supported tier, the lowest tier is ad-supported. There's a reason why that tier you still have to pay for, and you get ads on top of it, because they're not making money. You have a severely limited potential pool of customers. Once you get close to reaching that maximum customer base, you still have to find ways to make more money. They're basically in that asymptote, the point on a graph where technically the graph is still moving up, but almost imperceptibly so. They're getting to that point where they're not making nearly the same amount of gains. No streamer is. Every year, they're not making the same amount of gains that they were in previous years, especially not during COVID years, where they can turn a profit. They can even potentially start to turn a profit. So they have to find other ways to make money, right? So if Netflix gets to the point where they can acquire enough of the market share, they can turn their platform from a streaming platform into a production platform, into a place where other corporations can contractually release their stuff. So it would be like a channel, effectively. It would be like Fortnite has done with their platform. Yes, there's technically still the Fortnite game, but there's other stuff going on in Fortnite. Or the Roblox does the same thing. You can build games inside of Roblox, making Roblox a game and a platform. This is going to be something along those same lines. So that's super interesting. But if the Saudis win, the whole reason we recycled through that information, if the Saudis win, then it continues this money losing situation where you have to consider their ulterior motives. And we already kind of know the ulterior motives for the Saudis, because they've basically come out and said them outright. They want influence on Western culture, because Western culture influences the rest of the world, which the little bit that we have seen, because they've already started doing this in other realms. Like I said, they purchased Evo. They've done a number of other things. Kushner's Affinity Partners has purchased a couple of other production houses in the gaming side of things as well. So, like, we've started to see this influence. And as conservative as the Saudis perceivably are, they have not yet, though that's not to say they won't, but they have not yet exercised those conservative beliefs, those extraneously conservative beliefs, in their influence on these things that they've purchased. So theoretically, if that trend continues, that could be the better option if for no other reason than they do have incentive to keep prices low, because they want as much influence as possible. The only way to do that is to get as many eyes on their stuff as possible. So that would keep prices low in the fairly short term, but also potentially give audiences more of what they want, because they're trying effectively. They've come out and said that they're going to pander to audiences. Which isn't exactly a bad thing. If we get an X-Men movie that tells us an actual X-Men story in live action, that's a win. If we get, I mean, that's a horrible example because Marvel is Disney, but if we get a Batman movie, let's go that way, since Batman is, DC. If we get a Batman movie that tells us an actual Batman story and maintains the ethos of the character that we've known and loved for the last 50 years. Yes, I know Batman's much older than that, but 50 years has been the modern era of Batman, plus or minus a decade or so. then that's a win. Because they want to honor these things that we consider art, they want to honor these things in order to appease us so that they can have some sort of theoretical influence over our entertainment lives, then in the short term, that's a win. In the long term, that's still a scary prospect. Like, that's still frightening to think that they would have that kind of control. The third option... Oh, there was no third option because Comcast is out of this at this point. So, yeah. It's just an interesting situation all around. Either we got the beginning of a new streaming platform, or we have the beginning of Saudi influence on Western culture. Both of these things could turn very, very horrible very, very easily. So I think that is roughly the end of that bit. There's a little bit going on. Oh, goodness. What? Yeah. So we're going to kind of piggyback on the back of this. We're going to talk about that real quick piece of Zack Snyder saying there's many more stories with Henry Cavill. That's the next piece. So this is a little bit older than what we just were talking about, but it's not directly related to the Netflix Warner Brothers thing. Zack Snyder potentially teases something big as he has marked a new milestone on Instagram by posting another image of Henry Cavill as Superman, thanking fans for helping him reach 500,000 followers in just after 2 months. Here's to many more stories together. Snyder wrote, "Today marks a little milestone in this wild Instagram journey. 500,000 followers in just over 2 months. I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's joined along the way. For me, these characters are kind of modern mythology." Yeah, I don't think you're the only one who considers them that there, Zach. And I put a ton of reverence and respect into bringing them into life. No, I don't believe that is an accurate statement, though you might think it is. Seeing that resonate with so many of you means the world. Here's to many more stories together. Okay. Now that quote is put into context, I think this is definitely somebody grasping at straws, or a large base of the Snyder fandom grasping at straws for what that actually means. But we'll get into that in just a second. It's yet another carefully timed drop following months of teases from Snyder. Everything from the Rorschach Polaroid to Wonder Woman's original Crimean War photo to multiple Batman-related images. Fans have pointed out that Snyder hasn't posted this many DC-related shots since the run-up to Snyder's Justice League. So let's talk about this context real quick. He is not addressing Henry Cavill. So the headline of this, which is why I clipped this for today's show, that the headline of this almost would have you believe that he's talking about working with Cavill more, because it says, I'm going to read it again, even though you can see it on your screen. Zack Snyder teases many more stories, quote unquote, with new Henry Cavill Superman image. The implication is pretty obvious. But if you put that into the context of the post, he's addressing the fans. Seeing that resonate with so many of you means the world. Here's to many more stories together. Stories with the fans. Stories told to the fans. If he felt like it would get the same amount of traction, I'm sure he would post things from Rebel Moon as well. But because Rebel Moon didn't do nearly as well, he's only posting his stuff from his work with DC, because that's the stuff that got him the most traction. So I don't think that this is an implication of new stuff with Henry Cavill at all. Snyderverse momentum grows after Netflix wins the Warner Bros. Bid. This, I think, is a logical conclusion to come to. I was actually discussing this with somebody the other day. I can't remember who. I'm pretty sure it was at work. Anyway, so if Snyder... let's take that back just a brief moment. Zack Snyder has an exclusive content with Netflix. Everything he does, Netflix gets the first option. That's why Rebel Moon was a Netflix exclusive. Both Rebel Moon movies. That's why the Army of the Dead. No, what was his zombie movie? I think it was Army of the Dead. His zombie movie, though, that whole zombie universe that he was trying to create was going to all come out on Netflix because he has a contract with Netflix. So if Netflix wins the battle that we talked about in the previous segment, that actually does potentially mean Snyder can get his hands back into the Snyderverse. Would they? The question, though, I think in my head, the big question here is, would he want to act like the last 8 years didn't happen and just pick up where he left off? Maybe even act like the Whedon cut of the Justice League movie didn't happen and just assume that everyone saw his 5-hour Justice League cut? Or would he start fresh with the... I mean, neither of them really makes a lot of sense, and also both of them have the potential of being options, so whatever. It's an interesting thought experiment, I guess. Snyder has already spent the last several years building major franchises at Netflix, giving the streamer its own tentpole worlds with Rebel Moon. Yeah, Army of the Dead. I was correct. Insiders speculate that Netflix's need for premium IP and its interest in aggressive theatrical plus streaming strategies could reopen the door for Snyder to return to DC in some form, either through continuation, one-offs, or fresh adaptation like The Dark Knight Returns. Ooh, I should have remembered the Dark Knight Returns thing, because he's been talking. That's been on the rumor mill for some time at this point, that he wants to get back into DC by doing that. But like a continuation of that thought is something that I also didn't consider as one-offs. He could totally just do a bunch of Elseworld stories, because I think that would be actually the best way to use Snyder's expertise in movie making, because his version of these superheroes is so bad. Like, it's very entertaining. It's definitely popcorn fodder, but as far as like the core elements of the characters that we know and love being completely lost on this guy, like, they're terrible. So, and God, oh, please, honestly, don't let him do a Dark Knight Returns. Let him do Year One. Let him do that, because that is the one time in modern continuity that Batman has actually used a gun. It has all but been forgotten by modern audiences because it's a terrible story, but let's maybe have him try to do an adaptation of that and make it good and not whatever the hell was in the comic. But one-offs, that'd be an interesting... You could do live-action Gotham by Gaslight. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. Let's continue on. Snyder keeps fueling... oh, yeah, and now we're just going into speculation. Many more stories together, blah, 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 blah. So that, I think, is where that one ends. But we are not done with this whole situation. Next on the list is one last kind of roll out from the Warner Brothers Netflix thing, and it is... Oh, no. Yeah. All right, we have two more rollouts from that. We have James Gunn talking real quick, and then we have the potential backlash from the communities involved. So let's continue here, though, with James Gunn. James Gunn told Bloomberg, this comes from the 6th, James Gunn told Bloomberg that if you're gonna make a Batman movie, it better be effing awesome, quote unquote. Bold statement considering his track record leans heavily towards quirky, comedic, and goofy projects. Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, Superman, Suicide Squad, and the entire Guardians run at Marvel. Fans have already expressed concern about the idea of Goofy Gunn Batman, complete with the kind of needle drop playlist Goofy tone Gunn is known for. And the timing of his comment raises more questions than confidence. Brave and the Bold in limbo. Director Andy Muschietti recently said he isn't allowed to talk about Batman until, quote, a couple of months, unquote, which appears to be a sign that the Brave and the Bold may no longer be solidly on the table. Which honestly might not be terrible. Have you been watching Derry? Good Lord. I'm 2 episodes behind because it's season finale has happened, so I need to watch the second to last episode in the season finale, but I don't know how excited I am about that. Anyway, with Netflix buying Warner Brothers, the future of Batman, who controls the character, may shift entirely to new owners, adding to the uncertainty, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos just highlighted the Penguin series as the example of where DC storytelling works. He's not wrong, though. He made no mention of Gunn, the DCU, Creature Commandos, or Peacemaker, because none of those are doing as well as the Penguin did. The Penguin got all kinds of recognition from the fan base, from normies, all over the place. That was just a damn good show. Interestingly enough, Matt Reeves was up to take over DC when Christopher Nolan chose Zack Snyder. With Muschietti sidelined, Sarandos praising Reeves' corner of DC, and Gunn publicly selling his Batman philosophy, the message is clear. The next Batman direction likely won't be Gunn's call. Fair. All right, now let's talk about more backlash. We're going to talk the comic. Well, let's hold on. We got to mark the thing. Yeah, okay. All right, so now let's talk about the backlash. We're going to start with the comic book side of things, which I would venture that we can turn this over to to the video game side of things too, without much stretch in the imagination. But Netflix, quote, to shrink, unquote, DC Comics. All right, so the article reads, as Netflix enters exclusive talks to buy Warner Brothers, a new concern is circulating amongst DC insiders. According to people close to the studio, there is a growing fear that Netflix has no interest in maintaining a traditional publishing division, and that a major downsizing of DC Comics could follow. That might not be a horrible thing. Like, it will be bad and it will hurt for the short term, but in the long term, if they can pare it down to what works and then build on what works, that could be a great plan. So this isn't exactly doom and gloom. Concern, Netflix doesn't need a publishing arm. Our DC insiders say Netflix's business model doesn't rely on comic publishing at all. The company focuses on streaming, internal franchises, and high-volume content production. That structure leaves little room for a full comic book division, and insiders worry DC Comics could be reduced to a small IP management group. The fear is that the long-running monthly publishing line becomes the first casualty of the merger, one-off films and Netflix-style franchises. On the studio side, the talk is that Netflix would shift away from long-term interconnected storytelling. Instead, the focus would be to move to one-off films, filmmaker-driven projects, and Netflix-centered franchises built for global streaming. So the last piece, not so much, but like filmmaker-driven projects is not a horrible idea. One-off films, as far as what most of these IPs are concerned with, is also not a horrible idea, at least in the short term. In the long term, I'm sure they would want to see a little bit more of an interconnected thing, but they need to prove to us that they can tell us a good story before they get to the point where they're trying to tell a few years long story, right? So, like, again, while it will suck a bit in the short term, that is not to say that this is a horrible thing in the long term. For fans hoping for a stable, connected cinematic universe, sources say that may not be Netflix's priority. They just want the views. The biggest shockwave inside DC is the scenario where Netflix allows other studios to license DC characters. That could be very not great. It would break decades of precedent. Insiders say Netflix may see more value in farming out characters than trying to run full in-house blockbuster machine. If this happens, studios across Hollywood could pitch their own Batman, Superman, or Justice League projects, something that has never been possible under a single studio model. I don't know. I mean, there is a bit of logic to that, because that would make them more money. So, like, sure, I can see the logic. I just think that if they're going the way I think they're going with the platform thing, like, that could be their core of what Netflix is, and then other people come on with already their own IPs, not with Netflix's pool of IPs. But, I mean, it really could go either way. Radical future for DC. People inside DC Circle describe the mood as uncertain and anxious. Netflix's lean structure and streaming-first strategy could reshape DC from the ground up, which, again, would not entirely be a bad thing, because there's a little bit of bloat in the comic book industry these days, and we need to trim it down and get back to telling good damn stories again. Long-term concerns go beyond leadership changes or creative shakeups. The fear is complete transformation of how DC operates and how its characters reach audiences. So that is the comic book side of things, and by extension, I'm sure the same feeling is felt on the gaming side of things, because there's a lot of stuff that Warner Brothers has on the gaming division. I think that, and even then, we have interconnected games that Warner Brothers, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head, and of course it's the only one I can think of, is the Mortal Kombat franchise, obviously, but also Injustice. Injustice is an interconnected story that just keeps going, right? So let's continue on with this community reaction stuff. Let's talk about filmmakers reacting to the news. So, Directors Guild raises, quote, significant concerns about Warner Brothers, Netflix's bid for Warner Brothers. So, Directors Guild of America, whose president happens to be Christopher Nolan, has stepped into Warner Bros. Discovery bidding story, saying it plans to meet with Netflix after the streamer entered exclusive talks to buy the company. The Guild says the deal raises, quote, significant concerns for directors and the wider creative workforce. After reports confirmed Netflix won the bidding war and is now negotiating a final agreement, the DGA released a statement warning the potential merger could reshape the industry in ways that affect competition and creative rights. The Guild said it believes the industry depends on real competition for talent and keeping multiple strong buyers in the marketplace. Because the Netflix-Warner Brothers deal would concentrate streaming and studio power inside one company, the DGA wants a direct meeting to understand Netflix's plans and outline its concerns. There's already rumors Netflix would reduce theatrical release to only 2 weeks and then go straight to streaming. The Guild added that it would not comment further until the meeting takes place. Oof. Unions are now responding to the deal as well. DGA is the first Hollywood union to formally react to Netflix's move, but it won't be alone. The Writers Guild of America, East and West, previously warned they would oppose any merger that reduces competition, noting in October that a Warner Brothers Paramount deal would have harmed writers and consumers. So presumably Netflix will harm it even more because Netflix is a bigger entity these days than Paramount. With Netflix stepping forward, more unions are expected to speak out as the acquisition moves into exclusive talks. Thursday's bidding was volatile and fast-moving. Paramount pushed aggressively to counter Netflix, but reports say Netflix offered around $28 to $30 a share, mostly in cash, winning the right to negotiate exclusively. Warner Bros. Discovery placed itself on the market in October, blah, blah, blah. Netflix scouring exclusive talks is a major development, but reaction to labor groups is another obstacle. So, yeah, just kind of repeating. So, it's not done. It's a long way of saying it's definitely not done yet. So, from there, we do have some other things to talk about that aren't related to this, believe it or not. We'll do a real quick one up next. We have Landman. Has been renewed for a third season. First day with the new tongue. I apologize. Landman is renewed for a third season at Paramount Plus, or reports record viewership. Paramount Plus has renewed Landman for season 3 as Taylor Sheridan's oil boom drama continues to post huge numbers for the streamer. Via Paramount's official announcement, season 2 premiered November 16th. Immediately became one of the biggest titles on the platform, according to early Nielsen data. Let's hope they don't squander this like they did with Yellowstone. 262% jump from season 1. Wow. It's on track to be top 3 originals of the week for the 17th, top 2 series of the week for the 24th. Premiere episode pulled over 9.2 million streaming views in its first 48 hours. That's huge numbers. That's big even by Disney and HBO Max standards. That's huge. I didn't know they had that big of an audience, not going to lie. New episodes stream every Sunday. Billy Bob Thornton scores awards recognition. Also picked up Critics' Choice nomination for Best Actor in Drama Series. Series co-created by Taylor Sheridan, Christian Wallace. and features a loaded cast, including Bill Bob Thornton, Demi Moore, Andy Garcia, Ali Larder, and Sam Elliott. Oh, I forgot Sam Elliott was in that one. Additional cast, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. That's cool. Season 2 centers on Bobby Norris hitting a breaking point as West Texas pressures mount from M-Tex Oil, Cammy Miller, and his own family ties. The show highlights the brutal reality of power and survival oil fields where something is always on the verge of blowing up. So yeah, like I said, real quick one. Just fun to see good things getting recognition. Let's now move. What was next? Oh, all right. So our other kind of big theme for the show is continuing with the death of the industry. Let's talk about reissuing theatrical releases, shall we? So, Star Wars is returning to theaters for its 50th anniversary. Also, we have Lord of the Rings for its 25th anniversary, and Avengers Endgame is going to be returning to theaters as well. So, it's a little bit of a pattern here. Let's start with the oldest and work our way up, shall we? Star Wars fans will head back to theaters as Lucasfilm marks the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, 1977, to next 2027, with a limited re-release of the original classic. The restored 1977 cut hits theaters February 9th. I did not see that when I originally saw this article. The restored 77 cut. So this is the original version sans Lucas intervention post 1990, giving audiences a chance to experience the movie on the big screen again. StarWars.com made the announcement the original re-release was meant for Yeah. Okay. So that is correct. Lucasfilm announced that a newly restored version of the 77 Star Wars theatrical release, later retitled A New Hope, will screen in theaters for a limited run. It's part of a year-long celebration recognizing the film that launched the franchise. The re-release brings the original film back to its roots for longtime fans and newer audiences who never saw it in theaters. That's awesome. 50th anniversary arrives during busy stretch for the franchise with multiple releases on the way. Mandalorian Grogu, 2026. Favreau's movie hits theaters May 22nd, marking the first Star Wars theatrical film release since 2019. Ahsoka Season 2 also premieres in 2026. Season 1's cliffhanger ending. The next chapter continues the story of Ahsoka, Sabine, Thrawn, and the growing conflict of the New Republic era. The Rings is the next one that is getting a re-release into theaters. This is not the first time they've done this with the Lord of the Rings. It's not the first time they've done this with the Lord of the Rings, but the last time they did this was with reason, because that was when the extended editions were released. So they released that as a extended theatrical viewing situation. So slightly less of a reason to release. Let's read the article. We'll come to a conclusion. Lord of the Rings extended editions are headed back to theaters in January as part of the 25th anniversary celebration of the Fellowship of the Ring. Fathom Entertainment and Warner Brothers Pictures confirmed that all three films will screen across 2 weekends, giving fans a rare chance to see Peter Jackson's full trilogy on the big screen again. Again, pretty cool, but this is total nostalgia bait. This is just them going, hey, you remember this thing that we did that was awesome? Well, since we're not doing anything else that you want to spend your money on, why don't you spend your money on this for the 10th time? Because we know you saw it in the theaters, all 3 movies when they originally came out, and then we know you bought the DVDs, all 3 movies when they originally came out, and then we released the extended versions, so you bought all 3 of those when they originally came out, and then you bought the box set of all the extended editions together that came with the cool collector's ring and all the books and all the art. And this is just milking this franchise because they have nothing else. They have no new ideas. Again, not totally opposed to this happening because this is cool in and of itself, but this is a symptom of a much larger sickness in the industry. Select locations will offer D-Box presentations during the opening weekend for an upgraded audio and motion experience. Return marks the official start of the anniversary celebration for the Fellowship of the Ring, which first hit theaters in 2001. Fathom and Warner Brothers also released a new 25th anniversary trailer and logo to promote the event. Watch below. That's your popcorn cup. That's another popcorn cup. Why the trilogy is returning. Fathom CEO Ray Nutt says the film's impact and technical achievements make them ideal for theatrical revival, noting the trilogy's influence on modern blockbuster cinema. Jackson's 6-film Middle-earth saga has earned $6 billion worldwide and 17 Oscars. I don't think that the Hobbit was a very strong part of all of those numbers, but it was, 3 of those 6 movies, cementing it as the most awarded series in movie history. The anniversary also leads into Warner Brothers' next Middle-earth project, The Lord of the Rings Hunt for Gollum, arriving December 17th, 2027. Trilogy of films in The Lord of the Rings are remarkable cinematic accomplishments and made an incredible, indelible impact on fans in with their stunning visuals, unparalleled storytelling, and epic performances from the cast, essentially raising the bar for what is possible on the big screen. Says Nutt, Chief Executive Officer of Fathom Events. He continued, as we celebrate 25-year anniversary of The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring in 2026, Fathom is proud to join with Warner Brothers to present each of these incredible films with the extended editions from Peter Jackson in a 4DX for the enjoyment of fans old and new. Tickets are available now, apparently, and you can go to the website, Fathom Events, to check for availability. So, still cool, but also we're seeing a pattern. And then our final piece on this little bit. Avengers Endgame is coming to theaters in 2026. We've already played this one. So, Marvel is bringing Avengers Endgame back to theaters, giving fans another chance to see Avengers' final fight against Thanos on the big screen ahead of Avengers Doomsday. See, now we're getting to the point of, they're trying to make us forget about all the horrible stuff that has happened since Doomsday, since Endgame, and they're trying to remind us of why we actually cared about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I see what's going on here. They're all out of ideas. Avengers Endgame re-release begins September 25th, 2026. Released in 2019, Endgame became one of the biggest films ever made. Opened with a $1.2 billion worldwide box office, still the largest opening weekend of all time. Endgame remains the second highest grossing movie domestically at $858 million, second highest grossing film globally at $2.799 billion. Directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, the movie closed out the first decade of the MCU, picking up after Avengers Infinity War as Earth's mightiest heroes regroup to take down Thanos. Why is Marvel bringing it back? To make us forget about all of the stupid that they have done in more recent years. Marvel's announcement sets the stage for the next major team-up movie. The theatrical run arrives only a few months before Doomsday releases December 18th of 2026. With hype building around the next era of Avengers films, including rumors about multiple versions of the Doomsday trailer, Marvel is using Endgame's return as a lead in the studio's biggest event in the year. It's definitely hey, remember how we did a thing that you really, really loved? Well, we're trying to do that again, so maybe come back and love us some more, huh? All right, so enough of that. Let's do another real quick light bit. And then we'll move topics almost entirely to music, rather, from movies and TV. But we have this from Bounding into Comics. Zoe Kravitz is out of the Batman 2, and Scarlett Johansson is apparently in. So this has been rumored for some time. I believe this is still rumor. I don't think this is an official announcement yet, but the article goes on to say Batman 2 has lost a cast member from the first one, but it's also gaining a new acquisition. Zoe Kravitz ended the 2022 film riding off into the sunset, or in her case, the sunrise, on a motorcycle, and reportedly won't be turning around to head back to Gotham. As Nexus Point News initially broke, Kravitz is not returning for the upcoming and long-delayed sequel to continue Selena Kyle's story. This vindicates intel shared by Jeff Snyder of the In Snyder
who claimed a while back that Kravitz was not involved and knew nothing about the new Matt Reeves film. A segment of fans on X isn't exactly happy with this news, but as one door closes, another one opens, and we know who's walking through it. Scarlett Johansson is reportedly trading Marvel for DC as the Black Widow actress is in serious talks to take a mysterious role in the Batman 2. So there has been a lot of speculation as to who she's going to be playing in this, and it looks like we're going to get into my favorite theory here in just a minute, but we'll go over a lot of it. It won't be Catwoman, but it's being said she is sealing a deal to play someone villainous who starts out as a love interest for Bruce. That's fairly key. There's another element to this announcement as well, or this rumor, I guess, technically still. Poison Ivy was brought up almost immediately as potential suitor, but Snyder also quick to uproot that theory based on what his sources say. I'm not going to click on his Twitter link because I don't care that much, because I already know what it says, basically. Popular alternate theory is that Johansson is in talks to play live-action Andrea Beaumont, which raises the possibility that Matt Reeves is adapting the Mask of the Phantasm in some fashion. Would be interesting, though, yet again, something not entirely original. Huh. Okay. Andrea, along with possibly her father, would make a perfect temptress for Bruce and foil for the Bat in 1993 animated feature that started a trend for DC movies that was held up to today. Beaumont uses the guise of a sickle-gloved Avenger to settle a score with local mobsters and the Joker. Things get awkward for Batman when he is framed for the crimes and placed in the crosshairs of the police and a councilman with a vendetta against him, despite being a spin-off of the legendary animated series that aired after school and on Saturday mornings. Mask of the Phantasm got grim and a little bloody. Yeah, Mask of the Phantasm's great. If you've never seen it, you really, really must. It might work for the world Reeves continues to build, but between scarce plot details and returning villains from his last outing, where he is going is still a bigger riddle than anything Edward Nashton addressed in The Dark Knight. Batman 2 is slated to go into production next year, finally, and is expected to be released in October 2027. So, this Twitter link, where did it go? Right here, the Snyder Twitter link, that is apparently putting the nix on Poison Ivy as being the potential character that Scarlett is going to be playing. I believe that is the quoted tweet where he says that it's supposedly not going to be a villain that we have seen in movies up to this point. Now, I still think that theoretically could mean that we get the Mask of the Phantasm, for not the least of which because I don't know if Reeves counts an animated movie in that statement, because it's kind of an extension of the animated show, and there were all kinds of villains in the animated show. Most of the well-known villains that anyone would recognize were in the animated show to some degree. So I think Mask of the Phantasm in this instance might be an extension of that, which means that brings back in Andrea Beaumont to be the villain that we get in the Batman 2, which would be really freaking cool. I think it would also be a legitimate way to keep the Joker out on the periphery, because at some point in the setup for the movie, so how we get to that exposition is kind of up to Matt Reeves, but in the setup leading to the events of the movie, we get it through just an exposition dump, which hopefully not, or some sort of flashback sequence, or just through other storytelling devices. We see that since we last were in this version of Gotham, the Joker has escaped Arkham. He's set up shop with a new gang. Said gang has upset Andrea Beaumont because they killed her dad or something, probably going with the dad thing. And if I remember correctly, her dad was the original Phantasm, but it was a movie thing. Oh, it's been so long since I actually watched Mask of the Phantasm. I remember it being amazing. I just don't remember some of the finer details of the plot. Anyway, and then she, like they said, becomes a bit of a vigilante herself. using the Phantasm character as a means to punish the villains of Gotham, and in so doing sets up Batman, Bruce Wayne to take the fall for the things. So I think that would be a really cool thing. And then you could still be teasing that other side of this world, be teasing the fact that we do have a Joker story to tell at some point, but I don't think it's going to be now. I think it would be really cool. I think that is too good to be true, though. Like, I will be very surprised if they actually do that, but I really want them to actually do that, if that makes sense. But like I said, this is just another real quick one. So let's talk about some music stuff now. We're getting into... let's talk about Gene Simmons in the White House, because, of course, Gene Simmons has some sort of relationship with President Trump. I view them as largely similar people. Honestly, I can't stand either of them as people, but you got to acknowledge their contributions. So, the American Music Fairness Act, a bipartisan bill that will get passed because the president is very pro-artist, according to Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons, bassist and vocalist of KISS, spoke to White House reporters this past Friday, December 5th, ahead of his appearance in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on Tuesday, December 9th, so today, presumably, in support of the American Music Fairness Act. The AMFA's description says that it, quote, establishes that the copyright holder of a sound recording shall have the exclusive right to perform the sound recording through an audio transmission, unquote. It continues, quote, under the bill, a non-subscription broadcast transmission must have a license to publicly perform such sound recordings. The Copyright Royalty Board must periodically determine the royalty rates for such a license. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. All right, so hold on. Let's get into this a little bit before we read any further into the article. The copyright holder of a sound recording shall have exclusive rights to perform the sound recording through an audio transmission. So what that is the recorded song the exclusive rights for said recorded song, for the broadcast of said recorded song, will be maintained by the copyright holder. So presumably, assuming you signed a good contract, whoever's managing you or is giving you a record deal, presumably the copyright holder is you if it's your song. If you wrote the song, it's your property. Especially through audio transmissions, as is laid out by the AMFA. Okay, so that's that first part. The second part says, under the bill, a non-subscription broadcast transmission must have a license to publicly perform such sound recordings. So non-subscription broadcast transmission, I presume they're using that language to describe streaming services, but also trying to encompass, like, if you purchase the song on iTunes or if you have the physical copy of the CD or something, you can't play it to a group of people without a license to do so, which is kind of an extension of the existing law, so that's fair. Copyright Royalty Board must periodically determine the royalty rates for such a license. That's giving the government the ability to determine what royalties are worth to artists. I feel like that's the part that I have the issue with, because your royalties should be determined through your transaction with the platform, not be predetermined by the government. Because if your song is, say, a top 40 song, you're on the top 40 for whatever genre your song exists in, that should give you the grounds to negotiate higher royalties than if you know, the local band up the street gets 50 plays a month. Like they don't get the same royalties. They should get some royalties, but that's not going to be much. It's going to be a pittance comparatively. So like if someone like Metallica releases a new track and that's releases as one of the top tracks, they should be able to then renegotiate their own royalties, because that's how that works. If they're driving the market, they should have control over what they're getting for doing such a thing. Huh. Okay. So, continuing on, Gene Simmons has decided to back the bill and provide his 2 cents, offering his perspective as a musician dealing with the current public transmission in certain instances, which means that non-subscription terrestrial radio stations generally do not have to get a license to publicly perform a copyright-protected sound recording. Public performance right that only covers performances through a digital audio transmission in certain FM radio. Okay, gotcha. And how that artists deserve to be paid for their work and not profited off of without compensation. Addressing White House reporters, Simmons said, on Tuesday, I'll be pointing my finger at both Republicans and Democrats or senators who are joining to hear me talk about the American Fairness Act that needs to be passed because your favorite artists were never paid a single cent when you heard their voice on the radio. Nothing. They were never paid for their performance on the radio, even though radio yearly was making almost $14 billion. Wears his sunglasses while making a statement to cameras, continuing that in America, if you work hard, you should get paid. But that is a fact that's been around forever. And sadly, this injustice has been ongoing without anybody paying attention to it. It doesn't affect us as much because we make a living. And Kiss sure make a living, that's for sure. The band's net worth is valued at $300 million. But our kids, my son Nick and my daughter Sophie, are both successful artists, and we as guardians of their future are not going to allow this injustice to continue. Introduced into the House on the 31st January by Republican conservative for California, Darrell Issa. It's been nearly a year since its submission and will be heard with the support of Simmons. If there's an artist who's heard on the radio, they should get paid because the radio stations use our name, our likeness to promote radio stations on billboards everywhere else. They charge advertisers money, and they're making $14 billion. That's with a B, dollars annually multiplied by if you have a 50-year career. It's a lot of money. Can the artists that we all admire have a little bit of that? All right, so let's take a look at this a little bit, shall we? In order for a radio station, and I have never been on the receiving end of this, so I'm going by rote here. In order for a radio station that has a broadcast power over a certain level, which would be basically any private radio station or some college radio stations purposefully broadcast under this level so they don't have to pay these fees. In order to have a radio station that broadcasts over, I think it's like a gigahertz or something like that, in order for it to broadcast to a wide audience, they have to have a license to do so. Part of that license is the monthly fees that you pay to ASCAP and BMI, who are the licensing bodies that license the rights to music. These are also the same bodies that you have to get if you do a cover song, you have to have certain licenses through them in order to publish that cover song in order for you to also make money. If you do not have a license to do so, then the original artist of that song will get all of the royalties and such. Again, I'm kind of painting with a really broad brush just to kind of give you my understanding of. So, part of being distributed through ASCAP and BMI is that they pay you when they receive money from entities like radio stations. They then pay you as an artist a percentage of what was brought in. So the marketing that local radio stations do, that they apparently make $14 billion, which he says very clearly at one point they were making this. Currently, terrestrial radio is probably not anywhere close to $14 billion a year. And even if it were, that's still every radio station across all 50 states in the U.S., you're dividing $14 billion across how many radio stations per state, and then 50 times that. So it's really not that much money per station as he's trying to make it sound. Again, I'm not trying to say that artists don't deserve to be paid for their work, because I am one. I hope to one day get paid very handsomely for my work. As it stands right now, I get paid very, very little for my work. But I don't think this is the answer to the issue, because we're basically, if you're going off of what Gene Simmons just said, we're attacking a dying industry that is doing a lot for promotion of artists, that is doing, and they are paying a fee to do this for artists. So I think this is misguided intention. Like he's got his heart in the right place. He's just directing his attention in the wrong direction. He sums it up bluntly. So this is bipartisan bill that will get passed because the president is very pro-artist. Finishes up, we're letting our artists, the voice of America, American culture, get by working hard on their craft and not getting paid. So this industry works on so many levels, in so twisted ways. Artists get paid. I believe it was Everlast was doing Joe Rogan. This was probably 3-4 years ago, maybe even longer. And he's talking about Everlast makes pretty handsome living off of the royalties of the music that he has on streaming services, because Everlast owns the master recordings, owns the copyright to his own music, which is key, because in order to make money in the industry, you have to have one, preferably both of those things. You have to own the rights to the masters, and you have to own the copyright for the broadcast or for the performance of your music. A lot of artists, especially younger artists, sign away one or both of those rights when they sign a major label contract. One of the things, what's her name, running up that hill? Kate Bush. One of the things that in Kate Bush's early career... Huh? Oh, is it okay? We'll watch it again, I'm sure. So, one of the things that Kate Bush was talked into, I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was somebody famous, in her early career in the 80s, when that song was the song, or, you know, shortly before that song was her single, before her first record deal, she was convinced that any deal that she signs, she should maintain the rights to her masters. She should maintain the copyright of her recordings. And because that was part of her record deal, when the Stranger Things thing happened, she made so much money because she owned those rights. She owned all of that for herself. So the big thing that artists do, not the songwriters, the rights to the music, which is fine. That is the state of the industry. You just need to educate artists as to what that means. You need to educate artists as to why they need to maintain their copyright, why they need to maintain the rights to the master recordings, because if they don't, then they don't get paid for their work. We don't need to pass more legislation. We just need to educate the people in the field in order for them to maintain a livable condition. So I don't agree with Gene Simmons on this at all. I don't think this is a great thing. I think this is needless paperwork that the government doesn't need to waste their time with, because the industry itself can fix this. The people inside the industry, the artists partaking in the making of the art, can fix this by sheer power of will to do the thing that is in their own best interests. They just need to know what that thing is. So, yeah. I don't agree with Gene Simmons. Huh, go figure. All right. Moving along. We are almost through all of the music. Our next music piece, we're going to do... Oh, let's do the Ozzy thing first, and then we'll talk about some touring and then also some Slipknot news. So Ozzy is back in the news. In case you forgot Mr. John Michael Osborne. Oh, come on, Metal Injection. Load already, will ya? Fa la 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 la. That's right. Christmas is coming, baby. All right, here we go. Jeez, that took way too long. All right, so this article has to do with the Birmingham International Airport was supposedly going to be renaming the airport after Ozzy Osbourne, but that apparently has not happened, so let's get into this. 2 days after the death of Ozzy Osbourne on Tuesday, July 22nd, fans immediately launched a petition for Birmingham International Airport to be renamed in honor of the legendary frontman, proposing it become Ozzy Osbourne International Airport. The petition is closing in on 77,000 signatures, which I'm sure is because you can only sign it if you're a resident of the UK. Otherwise, it would be much higher, I'm sure. Unfortunately, the airport will not be renamed. According to Birmingham International Airport CEO Nick Barton in an interview with BBC Radio, there are simply too many great people from Birmingham, and a name change would screw up future. Birmingham amazingly has an extraordinary list of fantastically influential people, going from historic people like Charles Darwin, as well as Robert Plant and Sir Lenny Henry. I don't think I know who that is. But the answer is no, said Barton. The airport name is so important for our future development of what we've got, which is a fantastic airport, but yet to grow significantly, which we will do on the back of its name. What does the name have to do with the potential growth? That's ridiculous. Barton later added in the same interview that the airport will honor Osbourne with a mural recognition of Ozzy and other greats in the area, which is noticeably not naming the airport Ozzy Osbourne, the coolest fucking airport you've ever been to. The campaign to change the airport name was started by Dan Hudson, co-host of the podcast Gay and a Non-Gay, and a dedicated metalhead. Hudson's petition aims to pay tribute to Osbourne's towering legacy and his deep-rooted connection to Birmingham, where he grew up in the Aston neighborhood and co-founded Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne was the most important musician to ever... Yeah. So that's kind of lame, but whatever. It's still kind of awesome that they even tried. So there's that. All right, let's talk now. We'll go to tour. We have a really awesome new tour just announced last week. Necrogoblicon and Enterprise Earth are taking it out on the road together. Oh, good Lord. I don't know what the hell Metal Injection's deal is, but here we go. All right, so Necrogoblicon is going out with Enterprise Earth and Hanabiye for the second leg of this. Necrogoblicon and Enterprise Earth set to tour North America with Hanabiye upcoming March and April. Prior to that trek, Necrogoblicon and Enterprise Earth have teamed up with Wretched for a handful of dates kicking off from March 5th in the Metro Music Hall in SLC. Dates below. So Salt Lake to Colorado Springs to Wichita to Springfield, Missouri, Nashville, Tennessee, Allentown, Pennsylvania. That's the Enterprise Earth Wretched leg. And then Hanabiye will be headlining, because they're far bigger band, it would seem, with Enterprise Earth and Necrogoblicon starting Boston March 13th, running through April 11th in LA. Looks like they are going all over the place in that relatively short amount of time, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, always a fun time to go out and see Necro. If you haven't yet, you really should. Another big tour that was just announced, I think this one was either yesterday or today, Amon Amarth going out with Death Clock. If the page will ever load. There we go. Amon Amarth going on tour with Death Clock, co-headlining American tour. Teaming up for one hell of a tour, dubbed the Amon Clock Conquest. The extensive co-headlining trek features special guest Casserat for maximum battle-themed madness. Tour kicks off at Arizona Financial Theater in Phoenix on April 15th and wraps in PH Live, Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, May 21st. Tickets are on sale now. That's a good solid 2 months. That's pretty cool. Hey, that's where I went and saw Mudvayne right there. Huzzah! Yeah, so Phoenix, Arizona, San Antonio, Houston, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Chesterfield. That's a pretty decent tour right there. Amon Amarth. Give me the poster though. Come on, Metal Injection. What's going on? Whatever. Let's continue on. There was one other one. Slaughter to Prevail. We're not going to talk about Avenged Sevenfold going out with Good Charlotte. If you want to go see that show, then you got to figure out the details. Oh, the Verve Pipe and Our Lady Peace also announced a throwback tour. That's also hilarious, which we're not going to touch on any more than we just did. But Slaughter to Prevail with Whitechapel and Attila. This is going to be the tour that breaks your back. Oh, good Lord. So, dates. Oh, apparently there was a thing around this. Dates began to leak for a rumored Slaughter to Prevail North American tour featuring Whitechapel and Attila a few days ago, which of course kicked off the rumor mill into full gear. These rumors were true. Tickets are on sale now. Slaughter to Prevail is coming on a tracker back in the U.S. and Canada for a huge run of headline shows to support Whitechapel and Attila. This will be your last chance to see us in these cities before we take a much-needed break in 27 and 28. Wow, they're taking 2 years off. Oh boy! So March 21st is what kicks off in Nashville, Denver, Salt Lake, Boise, Seattle, all the way down Columbus, Ohio at Sonic Temple, Daytona Beach for Welcome to Rockville. Last regular date, though, is April 22nd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hammerstein Ballroom, Pittsburgh. Wow, that is it's a huge tour. But I honestly think this, if you're into heavy music, this is the tour to catch. That is a hell of a lineup. Whitechapel with Slaughter to, like, oh my God, that just makes me wish I could afford tickets right now, because they are on sale. So go check it out. And then one other thing that I saw, we'll touch on this real quick while we're talking about music stuff before we get into Slipknot, is Suicide Silence. Chris Garza is taking a break from his band. Says everything is fine, I just need to set the reset button. Press the reset button. Founding Suicide Silence guitarist Chris Garza has announced he's taking a bit of a break from the band. In a statement, Garza wrote that he's only on a hiatus from Suicide Silence live shows and is still very much in the band, which makes sense considering Garza founded Suicide Silence back in 2002. What's up, everyone? Wrote Garza. Some of you have noticed I've missed the last couple Suits shows. It's because I'm on a hiatus from the band. Susie, as he shortens it, have been on my brain every day since 2002 with no break. Everything is fine. I just need to press the reset button so I can make the right decisions in the near future. As the Terminator said, I'll be back. Because he's that guy. As for Suicide Silence, following up their 2023 record, Remember You Must Die, Garza said in an interview with Nick Nocturnal back in January that they're working on it. I'm in Southern California, so it's like I'm lucky, said Garza at the time. I'm just going to all these shows, seeing deathcore bands, new metalcore bands. I don't know who Alpha Wolf was until they played a small venue down the street, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. When you're consistently putting out new shit in your mind, It could be music, could be books, learning. Something happens to your effing brain where it forces you to be open-minded, and that causes a new form of being creative. So now we started writing our new record 2 weeks ago, and I don't know, man. I'm playing different. It's weird. I don't know. I'm just like, oh, I wouldn't normally do that. So it's like self-titled backlash, being broke for a long time, plus also being inspired, plus these new bands really pushing me without them knowing. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Something is happening. So Garza's stepping out for a moment, but only a moment, apparently. Huh. He's not going to step away from the podcast, so, there's that. Oh, wow, there's all these extra things now. I don't want these extra things. Go away, extra things. All of you, go away. Let's talk about the Slipknot thing. Let's push the button first, though. All right, so Slipknot. Another delay for the Look Outside Your Window. Apparently, though, we're looking at 2026 release on this, if it ever actually happens. Another year of not hearing Slipknot's long-awaited '08 album, Look Outside Your Window, is in the book. According to Slipknot percussionist M. Sean Crahan, a recent Discord Q&A, Look Outside Your Window is coming in 2026 for sure. Quote, let's start with Look Outside Your Window. I know I told everyone it would be this year. I'm very sorry it hasn't been. Things come to play that change things all the time with the art we create. I want you to know 2026 is the year. It's just simply time, and I'm just getting tired of waiting myself. Have faith. I promise, unquote. For those unaware, Slipknot recorded 2 albums way back in '08, All Hope Is Gone, which got released, and the unreleased album, Look Outside Your Window, featuring vocalist Corey Taylor, guitarist Jim Root, percussionist Crahan, and DJ Sid Wilson. I don't know if we're going to touch on this necessarily, but if you haven't heard of this before and you are a Slipknot fan, this is not Slipknot music per se. This is going to be something... I think they build it as a little bit more radio-friendly, but also a different kind of experimental. If I'm remembering, I might be conflating a couple of different quotes, but it's something along those lines. It's going to be something different. A weird side project that they did that they're apparently now going to be releasing under the Slipknot banner. So, continuing with the article, though. Look Outside Your Window has been promised numerous times over the years, with 2024 absolutely being the year it was coming out, and then 2025 also being the year it was absolutely coming out. I'd say prepare yourselves, because it sounds like Look Outside Your Window is imminent, but it's also seemed to be that way since 2019. All hail the eternal Slipknot waiting machine. As for how the record sounds, Taylor said, here we go, we are going to touch on this, that it sounds like Radiohead, and honestly sounds kind of awesome. Now, we've been trying to find a way to release those songs for God knows how long, said Taylor in an interview with Eddie Trunk. They were actually something that we were recording. We had 2 different studios going on, and one group of guys was recording what ended up becoming Look Outside Your Window, and then the bulk of the band was making All Hope Is Gone. The stuff from Look Outside Your Window is really, really... there's no real way to describe it. It's experimental, but it's super vibey, super melodic. It's really good. It's hard to explain. There's something about those songs. They're very solemn, very energetic, very artistic. For people who are used to a certain way of Slipknot sounding, this doesn't sound anything like that. It's much more of a rock vibe. Honestly, it's much more of a Radiohead vibe, to be honest. That is a quote from Corey Taylor, so, don't shoot the messenger. Anthony Vincent recorded a released cover album? I only saw the single. Oh, we're still talking Slipknot, so we're keeping it here. But Anthony Vincent's great. If you haven't checked him out, you should check him out on the YouTubes. He does really good stuff. So down to the breath work, multi-instrumentalist and online content creator Anthony Vincent has not only his impression of Slipknot's Corey Taylor down pat, but the entirety of Slipknot as well. So much so, he was inclined to create an entire album of cover songs in the style of the band. And, well, it's a doozy. picking from a variety of genres and time periods, featuring Carly Rae Jepsen's "Call Me Maybe," Cardi B's "WAP," House of Pain's "Jump Around," and Lil Jon and the East Side Boys' "Get Low." Wow! Anthony Vincent collects the best of Slipknot style singles and presents them as a full piece of work in Slipknot, not with a K, the N-O-T. That's hilarious. Volume 1, and it's both insane and brilliant, but it's not only fun to have a chuckle at, it's fun to listen to as well. It's like the collection of Punk Goes Pop albums, but it's all in Slipknot form. That's kind of cool. 10 songs, and we'll go over yeah. We have Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff, Cardi B's WAP, NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, Lil Jon, East Side. Has he released all of these on his channel? I don't know that he did the Soda Pop one. I remember seeing, Break Stuff was the last one I remember watching. I don't know if he ever did. No, I'm pretty sure I did see the WAP. I don't remember seeing Bye Bye Bye. Get Low sounds familiar. Carly Rae Jepsen sounds familiar. Falling in Reverse, I'm sure that happened. I don't remember seeing the Soda Pop. Flow Ride is Low and Wham's Last Christmas, all in the style of Slipknot. That's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah. So yeah, if you're not, you should be. It's great fun. But I think that is where the news portion of this week ends, nerds. We are 2 hours in. Even though we did start off with a bit of a hiccup, as it were, because, you know, stats. Oh, no. So it would seem that the stream is struggling, or was struggling for some time. So we might have to upload this in post. I will check the video quality in after the upload is done, or after the stream is done, and see if maybe we have to re-upload this. So my apologies to anyone who was having issues watching, because I'm looking at the numbers now and it was rough. It looks like everything's okay now. So, yeah, all right. Anyway, thank you very much, nerds, for joining for some more of the entertainment news. I hope you enjoyed yourselves as much as I enjoyed entertaining you. Reminder that we will not be doing an episode 2 weeks from now. Next week, honestly, is a little bit up in the air. It might not actually happen, so I will try and get a couple of things in the can to upload in case that happens. Not a whole lot of new releases, so I don't know what we're going to react to, but there'll be something. Also, we are doing an extended off-season this year, so we will be going into probably February, maybe even March with the off-season this year, just because things are going a little crazy right now behind the scenes as far as, like, the studio is going to be in a box in the next couple of days. So that's just kind of where things are at right now. So we'll have to stick to the couch studio for the live streams, and things are going to be looking different in 2026. All of that being said, once again, I appreciate your faces, nerds. For those of you who are going to be leaving us during this brief break, I appreciate you. For those of you watching in post or listening on the audio outlets, I also appreciate you, even though I can't necessarily see your faces. And yeah, for those of you sticking around, we will be back to do a little bit of gaming in just a little bit. Thank you very much, nerds, for joining me. Before we go, always remember that if it is generally nerdy, it is probably here.
Okay, well, it seems like our strange issue with the stream has not really gone away, so this will absolutely have to go up as something else. The post will have to be a different video. We'll deactivate the live stream and then go and have a VOD in the old school way. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's get headphones going. And let's do this. I know, last week I said we would be, eventually we'll be doing something else. This is not the week that we are eventually doing something else. As the news portion goes long, we have to cut the game portion short. And what else can I do that's short, honestly? Wireless, oof, right at the button. Let's see how it moves for a second before we deny. Yeah, I think I can live with that health. Demigod and 6963 with a Liu Kang. Oof. Hey, look, our CPU is not completely pinned. That's good. I guess we're going on this.
Round one, fight!
Alright, well, he knows his footsies fairly well, apparently. Ah, that hits mid. I forgot.
I do not wish to kill you. Round two, fight.
Ooh. Knows his footsies very well. But he doesn't know Scorpion's footsies very well. You're dead. Bye-bye.
Finish him. Scorpion wins.
Yeah, he does. That's just what he do.
As time's keeper,
You could have abolished combat.
Even at
Round 1. Fight.
Why go for the EX move to start things off? That doesn't make any sense. Again, why the EX out of nowhere?
You can't douse an inferno. Round 2. Fight.
And I got you out of the EX again. Oh, I just barely missed it. Oh, really? Okay, fine. Like, this is a little bit of a waste of your... I guess he would have lost that. So, fair enough.
Final
Respect my
round.
authority.
Fight.
There it is, what I was waiting for. Was not about to spend my bar on you.
Brutality. Scorpion win.
You're a dumb.
Rank
Bye-bye.
brutality. Scorpion wins. Rank up.
Oops, I didn't mean to. Ah. We're just gonna have to live with it, I guess. It's not jumping too fast. Oof. It's Big Papa.
Round 1. Fight.
Oh. Oh.
Why is it not throwing spear? That's so dumb. I've dropped twice now because my spear hasn't come out. I'm pushing the buttons. It's not like I've never done this combo before. Let's see if it comes out this time. There it is. Ah, should have held it just a second longer. There it is. Thanks for walking right into that again. Oh, what the hell? That should hit every time. Ah. Oh, forward throw. Okay, sure. Just gonna make this easy for me, I think. That was kind of a dick move, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. Baraka just gets under my skin sometimes. And this guy's dumb.
Can combat transmit? Round one. Fight.
Ooh, I thought I was just outside. There it is. Why are you an idiot? Why are you just throwing that out there? That's the stupidest thing. Oh. What a dummy.
You have no honor.
I don't get it.
Fight.
Oh, God. Oh, clipping that for sure. Wah, wah. Let's go talk shit a little bit. No. No. Apparently, I've played against that guy a couple of times before. Wireless. No. Wireless. No. Wireless. No. Those pings are way too high, man. Wireless at 62. I will accept that. Maybe it's climbing a little too fast, but we're okay for a minute. Still in the 80s. Oof, going really fast though. Wow. God's Son's K. 174, 139, so he's positive by 8. He's potentially a Lou.
Round 1. Fight!
Thank you. You're an idiot. What a dummy.
Round 2. Fight!
Again. Okay, throw that out. Oh, why did I duck? That was dumb. Now you're dead. See how that works? Oh, I haven't done that one in a long time, honestly. Nice.
Scorpion wins.
Was unplanned. Was trying to do the chop chop, but okay.
Round 1. Fight!
Oh, I should just take the anti-air. Because then I can do this. What a waste. I've got such a life lead. What a waste. Oh boy.
Round 2.
Why? Why would you even?
Get over here!
You're an
What a dummy.
Brutality. Scorpion wins.
That was embarrassing for him. All right, I think we got just one more, and then we're calling it a night. Wireless at 82. Yeah, it's moving fairly slow. We'll go with it. A Percy's Mauve. Oof. He's played 400 rounds.
Ready for this? Round one. Fight!
Oh, good. Oop. There we go. Payback's a bitch. Oh, why did I jump? That was stupid jump. Stupid jump. I mean, he's wasting all of his... Oh! I thought it died. Whoops. Definitely wasted all of his meter on that, though.
Fight!
And I just wasted all of my meter. No way. What? Good duck. Good on you. Nice ducking. Nice duck. Thanks for ducking. Damn it.
Finish him.
I didn't have my striker. Somebody's talking shit back. Big Papa. But he said GG. Why is he talking shit now? I didn't switch because I was distracted by this dumbass. Whatever.
Ready? Round one. Fight! two. Fight.
Bouncy, bouncy. That was dumb. You should do more stuff like that. That was dumb too. Oh, good backdash. This is not gonna kill, but it's gonna be really damn annoying. Oh.
Final round. Fight. Final round. Fight.
Why? Why? The what in the actual hell?
Kitana wins.
All right, one more, because that was stupid. Wired, yes, that works. Baraka player. Also going to be annoying, but I can do it.
Round one. Fight. Fight.
Why? Oh, he got under it. Thank you.
Round two. Fight. Round two. Fight.
There it goes. Alright, fine. Fine, fine.
You don't want my disease. Final round. Fight. Final round. Fight.
Oh, I got mine off first, though. That was stupid. Alright, we're gonna actually change cameos this time.
Wins. Can combat strength. Round one. Fight.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Combat strength. Round one. Fight.
That was dumb too. Peace.
The fire rises. Round two. Fight. Round two. Fight.
Damn it. Yeah. Oh, he's not changing nothing. He's just going straight in.
Round one. Fight. Round one. Fight.
Burn that clock, baby. Burn that clock. Oh, what?
Round 2. Fight.
For real, though. No!
Finish him. Finish him. Baraka wins.
Should have teleported. Teleport would have... I just couldn't time it. I was trying to go in front and not in the rear. I should have teleported, though. That would have stopped all of that spam. E.L. Joker. Nope, whatever. I might be on a... Let's see. We'll see in just a moment. I might have a short in my connection. It might explain why my network is going a little nuts. Good Lord, what is with all these garbage connections?
Oh, come on now. Alright, that's an okay connection. Let's go. I'm positive 3. Yeah, no, it looks like my connection's alright. Says I'm wired. Means that nothing's not connecting properly. There's a Serena on his player banner. Oh.
Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight.
That was stupid.
Finish him.
That was quite dumb.
Wins.
Level 35 and he's already up this high. That's not bad.
Round 1. Fight.
Better make the most of it, little guy. Alright, 43, that's not bad. Oh. Good read, alright, fire. Oh. Poke grab, poke grab. I should have went up with the kick and not waited. Alright, fine.
Round 2. Fight.
Yes, you do. Okay, that was unexpected. A little ridiculous, but also unexpected. Ooh, nope. Okay. Really? You're gonna teabag me, dude?
Round one. Fight. Round two.
You're an idiot. Oh, with a grab. Okay.
Final round. Fight.
Oh. Wow, what a bitch.
Finish him.
Alright, we gotta kill it here.
And Malady
That was weak. That was super weak, but whatever.
wins.
All right. The question is, what were their MMR rankings?
Adam. Smoke wheels.
8,000. I guess that kind of makes sense. He was playing like a cheap ass, like I should have been able to beat him. 8,000 there too. 40? Did I beat that katana? I don't think I did. This guy was a total joke. 15. Oof. Also a joke, this guy. 19. That makes a little bit more sense. And then this was the first one we played. 9,000. I'm pretty sure I beat him fairly soundly. And we are still sitting at 11. That's about where we were last week, so not much has changed. But that is where the stream ends today, nerds. So, like I said, we will be re-uploading this because apparently the network has just been garbage all evening. So any of you who have stuck it out in the comment section, much appreciated. That being said, we'll see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.